Hey everybody, welcome to Eagles Game Plan presented by Toyota. I am John Clark, and the Birds, they're back home, where they have one of the best home field advantages in the NFL. Doug Pederson is 21-6 at home, second best record at home in the NFL since he became head coach. Now, they're trying to rebound from that tough loss in Atlanta, but there's a lot of positives from the offense, especially in the second half. Let's relive some of that in our tape study presented by Chickies and Pete's. Here's the head coach, Doug Pederson, with our own Fran Duffy.
Sanders in the backfield. Wentz in the gun. He's back. He's looking. Here comes the rush. He steps away. He starts to run. He throws it. He completes it. He's got a first down on a diving reception by Hollins.
Well, welcome into another edition of Tape Study. I'm Fran Duffy, joined by Eagles head coach Doug Pederson. Coach, welcome back to the show. First time here for 2019. Let me ask this question first. You talked all week about how proud you were of the team in terms of the way that they fought back in this game, the resiliency they showed, that winner's attitude. At what point did that hit you? Was it sometime in game? Was there a moment or a play, or was it sometime shortly afterwards?
You know, a little bit. It started pregame. You know, when we knew Dallas Goedert wasn't going to make the game, and we had to make some adjustments at that point, and then talking through with the players were really calm and felt like they were good going into the football game. But I think as we got into that second half, and you know, we had the quick turnover on the kickoff return. You know, they scored, and really right after that, our offense took it upon themselves. Hey, we got to get ourselves back in this football game. We'd made enough little mistakes to kind of keep us from scoring. And really, it was at that moment, that particular drive, that got us back in that football game. Kind of the middle part of the game is when I felt like things were starting to turn in our favor.
Yeah, we're going to get into some of those plays where the team showed that resiliency. But I want to start off with a play where, look, there's adversity mid-play in this one, a 3rd and long, where Carson just has to create. Tell us what he's seeing here, the play call, and just the execution of the play.
Yeah, the play design, it's a zone beat. It's got some man principles built in, which is what we like to do when we put these schemes together. Obviously, we're going to chip both edges, so we're going to take Zach Ertz and hit this edge. We're going to try to get our back and chip both edges so we can slow the rush down. And then from there, it's just basically we're going to run sideline routes over here and run a deep in on the backside of this play. And really, it's designed to get us into that 12 to 15 yard range, you know, if the ball is completed. Obviously, all night, Atlanta had a really, really good pass rush. You know, all night put pressure on Carson, particularly on 3rd down. So the route, obviously you can see Nelly was breaking across the safety's face. Now, obviously we don't have the pocket that we would like, but that's a touchdown to Nelly right there on a big 3rd down. We didn't get that. You can see JJ here on the backside kind of opening up himself with this wrap scheme. And then we got 2 flat routes. So that was kind of the design of the play. And what ended up happening is 16 right here, Mac Hollins just kind of ad-libbed. He felt Carson scramble. He was in trouble. And then he came and broke across the field. Carson did a great job of stepping up in the pocket and then obviously delivering a strike as he's going to the ground, keeping his knees off the ground for this big first down. This is a huge play in this football game.
Yeah, just an outstanding throw from Carson Wentz. I believe Press Taylor called the throw like a DNA throw. We can thank Carson's parents for a play
exactly
like
right.
That one. All right, let's talk a little bit later in the game. Last drive, and it's 4th and long. You go back to Nelson Aguilar here. Earlier in the drive, Nelson has that drop. What does it mean for a guy who obviously early in his career had those struggles, for him to come back in this game and make such a big play?
Well, it's such a confidence booster for Nelly, for our offense, the team, you know, and those are the things that Nelly's been able to put behind him. You know, he could have a bad play in a football game and just kind of put it behind him and focus on the next play, and that's always been our mentality as an offense and really as a team. You know, adversity is going to strike you, whether it's a player, whether it's the unit, offense, defense, or special teams, and how well can you sort of flush it and then move on to the next play, and this is a great example of that.
All right, so take us through what we're seeing here from a defensive standpoint, and then what the play call is.
Yeah, well, obviously it's 4th and 14. It's a mile. We got to get, you know, we're in sort of that desperation mode here. We got to get the first down, and we got to play this design to really stretch this type of defense. It's a buzz type of a defense. It's a single high defense. 22 is going to roll down in here, and what we did is we sent Darren on a seam route to kind of hold 22 and kind of attack his eyes, at least get, you know, tick his eyes just a little bit as we run Nelly on a deep crossing route over the top of his back right there. And then we got in-breaking routes coming in this 15-yard range by Zach Ertz. So all we're doing is just reading one guy. And Carson has to just put it up, again, under duress with the pass rush. And as this play develops, you're kind of going, okay, we got it, because you can see what happens here with 22. Okay, he starts ticking his eyes right here on Darren Sproles. There goes Nelly over the top. Now, if we got a clean pocket, Carson can step and throw, and this might be a touchdown on this play as well. So we've had opportunities in this football game to kind of end it. This safety's late coming back in the middle of the field. Carson does get the ball out, which is a tremendous play again by Carson, and then Nelly kind of in traffic, having to stop, come back for the football to make this play is a great, not only a confidence booster for him, but a great play by our offense, putting us in a position to potentially win this football game.
Let's go over to the defensive side, because on defense, you give up a couple big plays, but then they come back and get 3 big turnovers. The pressure was turned up. We saw a lot of big blitzes, and this was one of the turning points of the game. Really brought the entire team back into it, and this AAA gap blitz getting after Matt Ryan.
Yeah, and really all night we put pretty decent pressure on Matt, and then even in our blitz packages, when Coach Schwartz dialed these up, we were able to get home and disrupt some of his timing with some of these routes. And one of the things that our defense works on extremely well, and they do a good job, is watching the play clock, watching the shot clock as it's ticking down inside of 5, 4, 3, and most defenses do this as well. And being able to time up all these blitzes so that we can get people home quickly and really designed to put pressure right in the face of the quarterback and make him throw high or make him throw early, and in this case made him throw high and inside so that Darby on this side could make the interception down the field.
So the goal, just for the viewers at home, with that late movement right before the shot clock hits 0, just so that the offense can set the protection, and that way they're not accounted for?
The offense gets the protection set, and then we get one clean runner on the quarterback. They can't redirect or they can't come off. The back can't come off. And now the quarterback has to throw the ball sooner, and then Darby's got eyes on the quarterback. He can see the ball, and he's really running the route right now to go catch the football.
I want to ask you, just as we take a look at this from the end zone angle as well, what this means for an offense when the defense lines up with those 2 defenders right over the center. It's such an in vogue concept that you see all around the NFL now. You have Nigel standing up over one side and then Malcolm lining up over the other edge. What does that mean when you've got that kind of look pre-snap?
Well, it's definitely something that you see. It's a trend that a lot of defenses do on third down, particularly. Defenses do it extremely well. We see it every week from every defense. And then one of our top blitzes is actually bring the extra safety. You can see that this back is going to Malcolm. The center is working to Nigel. Well, there's nobody on Rodney. So again, this is great timing by our defense. They have a 6-man protection here. The tight end probably getting out in this situation because he's not redirecting it. And so now we're getting that free runner on the quarterback. This is just a great executed play. Defense did this all night, gave the offense some shorter fields that they were able to capitalize on, keep us in this football game.
Eagles Game Plan is brought to you by your local Tri-State Toyota dealers, a proud automotive partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy. And by McDonald's. I'm loving it.
On the 4th down pass to Nelson, you throwing it up there? Did you see him?
No, I saw him, and that's something that defense does on some third down situations, and we were able to kind of bait Keanu down there and throw it over the top. Wish I would have got it out there a little further, but that's something that we saw on tape. And once they took the timeout, I ran over there, and Coach and I talked about it, and we were able to get into that play, and it worked out for us.
Enemy Intel is brought to you by Rothman Orthopedics at Jefferson Health, the official orthopedics and healthcare partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Carson Wentz and the Eagles offense will face a very intriguing Detroit Lions defense this week. Now keep in mind that Matt Patricia is both the head coach and the de facto defensive coordinator for the Lions, and he came from the New England Patriots. So the overview of that style of defense is they're very multiple with their front looks, but they're pretty consistent with their coverages, playing a high percentage of man-to-man. But it's the front looks that can be difficult at times and very, very challenging for an offense. Now we're going to start by taking a look at Trey Flowers. Now Trey Flowers was a free agent who came from the Patriots to the Lions, so Matt Patricia is very, very comfortable with him and knows what he brings to the table. If you go back last week, here you're going to see Flowers lined up as a wide 9 defensive end rushing the quarterback against Phillip Rivers. And here he forces a quick Rivers throw, and it's an incompletion in the red zone. But as I mentioned, this defense is very multiple with their front looks, and Flowers really embodies that. So here you're going to see him lined up at a 3 technique. Now the 3 technique lines up between the offensive guard and the offensive tackle. He can also line up at what we call 0 technique, head up on the offensive center. Now in that position, you have to be able to win one-on-one because you're head up. And if you go back to his days with the Patriots, let's go back to the AFC Championship game a few years ago. Here he is in the 0 technique position against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he's able to defeat the center, really good hand usage, and get pressure on the quarterback. So Flowers is a player that moves all across that defensive front, and you must know where he is because he's a very disruptive player. There's another player on this defense that's very interesting as well, and that's Jelani Tavai, the rookie 2nd-round pick out of Hawaii. After watching him and studying him carefully in Hawaii, my first thought was Matt Patricia saw him as their Dante Hightower, because what they do with Tavai is line him up all over the defense and use him in multiple ways. What we're going to do is start with him here as a stacked linebacker in what we call a Fire X blitz concept, where he rushes the quarterback from the inside with another defender. And you can really see him here with the ability to work through traffic, get inside, and run down Kyler Murray. That's not easy to do. This is a really good play by Tavai. Now, I mentioned Hightower. Hightower lines up all over the Patriots formation. Where do you see Tavai here? He's detached. He's over a bunch set outside of the box. For a 250-pound linebacker, he can do that and be very effective. Now you're also going to see Tavai line up on the edge as an edge pass rusher. So you see the multiple skill set that he brings to the table. And remember that Hightower comparison. Here you see Hightower against the Carolina Panthers. He's going to be an edge pass rusher. And just like we saw Tavai tackle a very mobile and tough to bring down Kyler Murray, what does Hightower do here? He wins off the edge and he sacks Cam Newton. So what you see with this Matt Patricia defense is you see 2 players in Trey Flowers and Jelani Tavai fit the model of what Matt Patricia wants. So this is a very difficult defense to deal with from a front perspective.
All right, Mike Quick. Greg Cosell did a nice job of showing us the different looks that the Lions defense, they're going to bring at Carson Wentz. Now, the Falcons, they ran some games as well up front, but this is going to be a lot more and a lot different, right?
Yeah, Atlanta Falcons show you a lot of different things, but you're exactly right. The Detroit Lions, they're going to show you a pre-snap look, but on the snap of the ball, they're going to do different things. They are so multiple in what they do defensively. You have to remain on your toes. You have to be flexible, and you have to take what they're giving you. If you watch this play, it's a perfect example of Carson taking what the defense allows. You're going to have a 3-man concept route coming on the left side. And as this rolls, you'll see how the Atlanta Falcons will shift, and you've got 5 defenders over the 3-man concept. So what does Carson do? He buys a little bit of time. You watch him slide to his left. And then he'll go back to the right side where Nelson Aguilar becomes available in the back of the end zone, and he fits it into a tight window to Nelson Aguilar. But that's what you have to do. The defense takes away one thing, so you find out where the weaknesses are, and that's what Carson is doing here. Whatever the defense is doing, you make the defense wrong. You go away from the strength of the defense.
Let's go, boy! Let's go, boy! Hey, all day! Oh, boy! Hey, none of that! None of that! Oh, boy! Oh, none of that! Yeah! Yeah! Let's go! Let's go!
The Eagles defense this week will face a Lions offense that is also very multiple in the way they can attack. This is an offense that can line up with 11 personnel, meaning 1 back, 1 tight end, and 3 wide receivers. But they can also line up in 12 personnel, meaning 1 back and 2 tight ends. We want to focus right now on 12 personnel, because keep in mind what they did this offseason. They signed Jesse James from the Pittsburgh Steelers as a free agent. And then with the 8th pick in the draft, they selected T.J. Hockenson, clearly the best tight end prospect in the 2019 draft. and they're very intriguing in the way that they use Hockenson, and it showed up right away in Week 1 against the Arizona Cardinals. Notice the formation here. The Lions have both tight ends on the same side of the formation. They have James on the line of scrimmage and Hockenson in a wing-type position just inside of James. Now, what I really like about this play is this play looks like a power run, because what they're going to do with Hockenson is insert him into the middle of the formation, making it appear as if he's a lead blocker in the run game, almost like an ISO lead play. He's just not a fullback. He's coming from a wing position. So this has the look of a downhill run. And what happens with the two stacked backers for the Cardinals? They attack run hard because that's the look they see. They're simply reading their run keys. But what happens here? Hockenson does a great job of avoiding one of the stacked backers, our old buddy Jordan Hicks, and he works his way through the defense and then runs a crossing route. Now notice the other stacked backer, another former Eagle, Joe Walker. He has to turn and run with Hockenson, but he was caught deep in the box playing the run. And this became a pitch and catch throw for Matthew Stafford for a big gain. So the Eagles have to be aware when they play the Lions. They're going to see 12 personnel, as we just saw, with some really interesting run concepts that turn into pass, and they're also going to have to defend 11 personnel. So this is a very challenging offense to defend that can attack you at all three levels.
All right, Ike Reese, as you can see, the Lions like to run the ball, and the Eagles, the first 2 weeks, they've lost Malik Jackson, then they lost Tim Jernigan in Atlanta. So stepping in now, Hassan Ridgeway, what do you see from him? What does he bring to the team?
Well, I think Hassan Ridgeway, a young player in his fourth year, Eagles traded for in this past year's draft, the 7th round draft pick. And you're going to see a couple plays here as to why they like this young man and what he can provide. Now, when you look at the box score, you're not going to see sacks and tackles for losses, so you may feel like he's not having the impact that you would want from an interior lineman. But look at that get off. Look at the fact that he's splitting a double team here. That's what you want from your D lineman, penetration. Hassan Ridgeway, one of his best traits is his get off. Does a nice job of splitting his double team here. And then not only that, he takes on the lead blocker here. So anytime you get a defensive lineman who basically occupies 3 blockers, it's going to allow for other guys to get in there and have a fast flow to the football. Again, that's what you want from your interior linemen, especially the guys that are lining up next to Fletcher Cox. Fletcher often is going to see a lot of attention when he's out there, so you need those other guys to be playmakers as well. We watch Hassan right here. And the first thing I notice is obviously the get off that he has, but then he's using his hands very well here. Does a nice job getting inside that offensive tackle's pads, getting his hands inside, disengaging, recognizing, get off the block. Again, force that running back in there, and he leads him right there to the rest of his defenders. Again, when you watch Hassan Ridgeway play, you may not notice him because he's not making the splash plays, right? But he's doing his job out there, and the job of an interior lineman sometimes is to make the job of the others around you a lot easier. And when you get a disruptor like Ridgeway, if he can continue to play that way, those guys behind him, those linebackers, they're going to be making a lot of plays.
Yeah, you make my job easier, me being around you. So the Eagles doing pretty well against the run. They're giving up 2.8 yards a carry. That's pretty good. What are you seeing from the front against the run so far?
Well, physical play. This has become a trait of this defense. You think back to 2 years ago when they were the #1 rushing defense in the league. Last year they had guys banged up, not as high in the rankings against the run, but a very solid team against the run. And this year they're off to a good start against a couple of teams with backs that could hurt you if given the opportunity. Darius Geis in the first game, and then you're talking about Devontae Freeman and Ito Smith in this game. Outside of the one play Ito Smith had, the Eagles' front seven basically locked up the running game, made the Atlanta Falcons a one-dimensional team, and I think that's what led to some of those turnovers the Eagles were able to get because the Falcons couldn't run the football and they became predictable on offense.
All right, we showed you the game plan on how to beat the Lions. You're going to get a lot of different looks from Matt Patricia's defense. You got to slow down that running game with Kerryon Johnson and watch out for those play-action passes. Hopefully, it results in an Eagles W. Check out the kickoff show on PhiladelphiaEagles.com at 12:30. I'm John Clark. Thanks for watching Eagles Game Plan, presented by Toyota.
Eagles Game Plan is brought to you by
your local tri-state Toyota dealers, a proud automotive partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy. And by McDonald's. I'm loving it.